I'm going to go over the solutions to the test so you can correct yours and see what you did wrong, so you don't do it wrong next week. G of -2 means you're plugging in -2 for the x's, and then you just simplify. So you substitute them in. Of course, that's 4 times 2 is 8. Negative times negative is positive. F of -4 means you take f, plug in -4 for the x, and then you just do PEMDAS. F of x is equal to 26. So if f of x is equal to 26, then f of x is 26. You just replace that with 26. So that's what I did. My f of x is now 26. And then I just solve. When you take the square root to solve this, you have to look at the positive and negative answer, because -3 squared is also 9. G of x is equal to 35. G of x is equal to 35. Well, G of x is this guy, so you just put him equal to 35, and then you solve. You get it equal to 0, and you factor. And when you're factoring, double check it, multiply these together, and you get -14. Multiply those together, and you get 5x. You combine that together, that's a -9x. And that gives you another check to make sure you did it right. And then you'd subtract 5 from both sides and divide by 2, and add 7 to both sides, and you get 7. So I'm finding where these two parabolas intersect. So I graphed each one of them, just making a table, plug in x's, find your y's, and plot the points, and it intersected at 4, 5. To do that algebraically, you put them equal to each other, and then I just solve it. I subtracted x squared from both sides, and it eliminated the x squareds. I added 10x to both sides, that's how I got the 8x. Add 3 to both sides, that's how I got the 32. And I got my 4. I got the 5 by plugging 4 back into one of these two equations. Doesn't matter which one. And that's the point of intersection. And then, since there's an x squared and an x, you're going to either factor or use quadratic formula, but I'm telling you to use factoring. So get it equal to 0. And then 3x squared, so I have to have 3x and x. And then 14, two numbers multiply together be 14. So I have 1 and 14 and 2 and 7. So I just plug them in until I find the right one. When I multiply those two together, I'm just doing the opposite of FOIL. 21 negative, 2 negative. When you add those together, you get the -23. So it works. And then I just solve each one. Since I'm solving, I have to have x equals. So you would add the 2 to each side and then divide by 3. And that's how I got this guy. Add the 7 to both sides. That's how you get the 7. So here we have add the x to both sides, and then I factored out an x. So most people forgot this 1 right here, because x times 1 is x, and that's where that x would be right here. Now I'm just factoring this part, 4x squared, so I can have 4x and x, or I could have 2x and 2x. I just went through both cases, because 1 is pretty easy. It's a 1 or a 1, so 1 and 1. So that gives me 5, or that gives me 4, excuse me, and that gives me 1. Add them together and I get the 5x. So this answer is the -1. This answer is subtract 1, divide by 4, and that answer is 0. Quadratic formula, it's -b. My b is already negative, so it makes it positive. Plus or minus the square root of b squared, so that's -3 times -3, which is +9, minus 4 times the a times the c. That negative is where most people made their mistakes, because negative times a negative is a positive. So you end up adding these 2 multiplied, or these 3 multiplied together, plus the 9, gives you or 501. And then I just type this in my calculator. And then round. Domain is my possible x values. It's all the x's. So I look at this and I go, what's my smallest x? Well, the smallest x is right here at -6. My largest x is right here at 5. Can't equal 5, cannot. So that's why it's not equal to it. Can equal it, and there it is. And that's my x's. My y's, my smallest y value. My smallest y is -2. And my largest y is up here at 4. And they can both be equal to it. That's why they're equal. -4 is my smallest x. I can't draw the line because this goes on forever, so all the way to infinity. You could write it this way. Smallest y at 1. Y is 1. It's less than or equal to y, and you could write is less than infinity also if you want. Almost everybody got those right. These are my possible x's, so it could be at -6, -2, and 3, and my possible y's is -2, 0, and 4. If I have a fraction in an equation, I multiply by the common denominator. It just eliminates all the fractions. 12 times 35 divided by 6, 70. Or you can go 12 divided by 6 is 2 times 35 is 70. 12 divided by 4 is 3, so it's 3 times 5, 3 times x. 12 divided by 3 is 4, 4 times 2x is 8x. Now it's just a simple equation for you. Combine like terms, subtract 15 from both sides, divide. Almost everybody got this right. Distribute, make sure that's a negative, combining like terms, and then just solving. Make sure your calculator is in degrees since I'm using degrees. SOHCAHTOA. So SOHCAHTOA. So this one is adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent over hypotenuse. So that's 9 over x. 9 over x. Adjacent is the one that's attached to the 35. The hypotenuse is always across from the 90. And then you just do that on your calculator. I would multiply by x on each side and then divide by the cosine of 35. So you end up with 9 divided by the cosine of 35 degrees. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. And then on this one you just multiply by 22 on each side. Opposite over adjacent. So it's from the point of view of the angle, so it's opposite over adjacent. So it's 14 over 9. And then to get rid of the tangent, because you need to get the x by itself, you do the inverse tan of both sides. So inverse tan of 14 over 9 is that. All right, good luck next week.